Alright guys, so you should have your blank piece of paper out. And we are going to do one practice problem from Friday. And then we're going to learn how to divide radical expressions. So on Friday, we learned how to multiply them. So put like a little arrow or something and write multiply radicals. And we're going to do one practice problem. Okay, so this is called multiplying radicals. So to review, did we do number 9 on Friday? We did? Okay. Let's do this. For an example, 4 square root of 10 times 3 square root of 10. Remember, you can only multiply outside with outside and inside with inside. So when I multiply the outsides, 4 times 3 is what? 12. Square root of 10 times the square root of 10 is square root of 100. But we have to simplify. These numbers, like 100, should be flashing lights in your eyeballs. Because it means something very, very important. It is a perfect square. And the square root of 100 is what? 10. 10. So it simplifies to just be 10. And 12 times 10 is 120. 10 times 12 is 120. So that is what we did on Friday, and that is your answer. Now, on your blank piece of paper, we are going to take notes the old-fashioned way, the way we did in the 1990s. Okay? All the way back in 1990s, we used to take notes on this thing that we called lined paper. Okay? It's like a piece of scratch paper. It can either be college ruled or wide ruled. I don't care which one. Comes from trees. Okay? Now, this is the big thing for today. The big thing. That was just a review from Friday. Here's our main topic. We are learning how to divide radicals. I need you all to pay very close attention because this gets messy and it gets confusing. Okay? We're doing it because it's a standard for Algebra 1 and it's my job to teach you. Oh, because there's not enough room on this note taker. Okay? So, let's start with example number 1. And I want you to write the square root of 9 divided by the square root of 18. Now, there's a theorem out in the math world that says if you have a square root divided by another square root, you can write it all under one big square root. So the square root of 9 divided by the square root of 18 becomes the square root of 9 divided by 18. Okay? Can I simplify 9 divided by 18 to what? 1/2, right? So, 1/2. So now I have the square root of 1/2. Okay? 1/2. Because 9 divided by 18 is 1/2. Now, let's break this back apart into 2 square roots. So we have the square root of 1 over the square root of 2. What is the square root of 1? 1. So now we're left with 1 square root of 2. Yes, it is a lot of steps. Okay? But we're not done. Because there's also another rule in the math world. And you'll get a ticket if you break this rule. And a ticket means I'll take points off your test. Okay? So here is your warning. I pulled you over and here's your warning that I'm giving you as the math police officer, okay? Never, ever, 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 never, ever, 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 ever. I just want you to remember this. So I can say, remember that day when I said never, ever, ever 1,000 times. Never, ever, 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 ever. Like ever. E-V-E-R. You'll remember this moment, I promise. Are we allowed to leave a square root in the denominator? No. Never. Look, this right here. I told you, Steve, so now let's participate. This square root, we are never, ever, 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 ever allowed to leave it in the denominator. It's against the rules. And if you do, I will give you a citation, which is points off your test. Okay? Ticket. Woo, woo, woo. Ticket. Here's how we get rid of it. Are you ready? There's this thing called, this is how you spell it, it's called rationalizing the denominator. I know it's a lot of letters, so I'll let you write that down. It's called rationalizing the denominator. And what rationalizing means is get rid of square root. Smart people terms, rationalizing the denominator. Normal people terms, get rid of that square root. Get her done. Get rid of it. Okay? Here's how you do it. In order to rationalize the square root, you have to multiply the bottom and the top by the same thing, by that square root. So multiply the bottom by square root of 2, multiply the top by square root of 2. Here's a trick. What is 2 times 2? What's the square root of 4? Whenever you're rationalizing the denominator, if you do square root of 2 times the square root of 2, your answer is always going to be that number with no square root. Because 2 times 2 is the square root of 4. Square root of 4 is 2. The whole point of that is to get rid of the square root. So you don't have to multiply those together and then simplify. Just multiply them in your head and know, well, if I'm multiplying the square root of 2 times the square root of 2, the square root is going to drop, and it's just that number. Yes, Riley? Yes. Only the square root. No, by the same number. Okay, so here, now, when you multiply the numerator, 1 times the square root of 2 is just square root of 2. And ladies and gentlemen, we have finally reached our conclusion. Okay? Do you know how you practice this? Do you know how this becomes perfect? Practice. Lots of practice. Practice makes perfect. Yes. Okay. What if I told you I'm not letting you use a calculator on this test?
I can't.
You have to. Okay? So, hey, why don't we stop complaining and just suck it up and finish the last 7 days of school? Okay? Because y'all have a test next Wednesday, and then if you don't have to take my exam, you're done. So, suck it up, Buttercup, and let's learn something. Okay? Example number 2. If I see that you're just plugging it in your calculator and not doing my steps, we will not use calculators on the test. So, if you see your partner doing it, I would highly encourage you to make them stop. Example number 2. We have the square root of 8 divided by the square root of 24. I would, if I were you, I would go ahead and simplify this. It becomes under 1 square root 8 divided by 24 is what? Not 3. 1 over 3. So now it becomes 1 over 3. But let's break it back down. Square root of 1 over the square root of 3. The square root of 1 is what? 1. Square root of 1 is 1. But we have the square root in the denominator. Never, ever, 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 ever can we do that. So we need to rationalize it, which means I'm going to multiply the bottom and the top by the square root of 3. 1 times the square root of 3 is just square root of 3. Square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is square root of 9. Square root of 9 is...
Is that the answer?
Yes.
Is that what probably going to be like 1 over something?
No. Guys, that's the thing about this. There are so minty ways. Minty. Okay? Now, we have square root of 75 divided by the square root of 3. Square root of 5 divided by the square root of 3. Go ahead and combine those. Divide them and see what you get. Let's go. Y'all keep working. Keep working. Chris, you're needed. Good. Yes, ma'am. Don't overthink it. Okay, well look at this. This can combine, right? 75 divided by 3. Well, what is 75 divided by 3? So what's the square root of 25? That's your answer. You could, but what's the square root of 1? And what's 5 divided by 1? Don't overthink it. Okay? Okay, next. Example number 4. Write this down. Number 4. Don't overthink this. Are flashing lights blinking in your eyeballs? It's okay. Think about it. Christian just told you all the answer. Do not overthink this. If you're seeing flashing lights right now, it's blinking at you, exclamation points, hello, wake up. What's the square root of 100? What's the square root of 121? That's your answer.
Oh my God.
Don't overthink it. Now, some of these, hey, are some of these going to take this long? Yes. Are some of these going to take not long? Yes. Okay. You could. But you don't, but 121 won't simplify at all. Because 11 goes into this, 10 goes into that. Okay, example number 5. 8 square root of 2 divided by 2 square root of 8. Woo! Just like we can multiply the outsides and multiply the insides, you can divide the outsides and divide the insides. Okay? So, if you see, do you see something right here that could be simplified? Right? Yes, Diego. Okay, Diego said, 4. Because 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay, so go ahead and simplify. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Well, now I have 4 square root of 2 over square root of 8. What's in the denominator? A square root, which means we don't want a square root. So let's rationalize square root of, get rid of that square root, square root of 8, square root of 8. The denominator comes what? Just 8. Just 8. If you multiply the same number with both square roots, your number just becomes the same thing. Now, bring your 4 over, and 8 times 2 is 16. Flashing lights. No, it's not.
This 4 over 8. 4 over 8.
Flashing lights. What is the square root of 16? So this becomes 4 times 4 over 8. And 4 times 4 is, and 16 divided by 8 is 2.
I'm so confused.
All right.
I get it now.
Okay, where did I lose you at, Ethan? Okay. Just like we can multiply up here, just like we multiplied 4 and 3, the outsides. Hey, I'm sure he's not the only one that's lost, so look up here. Just like I can multiply the outsides and the insides, I can divide the outside and the inside. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, and then I just wrote these again. Now I see a square root in the denominator, which never are we allowed. So we rationalized it. Square root of 8 times the square root of 8 is the square root of 64, which is 8. And then 8 times 2 is 16. Bring your 4 over. Square root of 16 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Divided by 8 is 2. Okay, we have about 10 minutes left. What I want you to do I want you for homework, it's the same thing my other classes did. I want you to do 12 through 16, which is on the back of this note taker right here. But here's the thing. Hey, here's the thing. I do not want you to work 12 through 16 on this paper. Take your scratch piece of paper we were working on and do 12 through 16. You already did 12 and 13. So 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Same amount, you're just doing 14 through 18. Okay, but very quickly, I wanted to help you set up one of these. You're doing 14 through 18. Let's look at number 16. You have the square root of 6 over 7 times the square root of 1/3. You can rewrite this. You can multiply straight across. So this becomes, what's 6 times 1? And 7 times 3? Okay, that's how you can set that one up.
How do you do exponents?
Which one?
6, 14.
Oh, it would just say, like, for number 17.
Oh, wait.
This is not done. You have to finish this. Finish this.
Oh, I'm on the front.
For number 17, you have the square root of q over 12. Just break that apart into square root of q over square root of 12. And then rationalize it. So it becomes, I'm giving you the answer. It becomes square root of 12q over 12. And you need to simplify this fraction. Or the square root of 12. Square root of 12 becomes 4 and 3, which is 2 and 2. Circle that. 3 stays outside. So this becomes 2 square root of 3q over 12, which simplify this. 2 over 12 simplifies to be 1/6. So you have 3q over 6.